Dear all, it is my great honor to welcome all of you to this kickoff meeting for the NORHED II projects led by the University of Bergen. My name is Are Straume, and I am heading the section for international cooperation here at the university. We will, during the next hour, be introduced to the 14 NORHED-funded projects that UIB, together with partners around the world, have been awarded. The introductions to the projects are short, but will show you the huge variety in the scope of the projects. The video introductions will be shown in 3 batches throughout the program. Moreover, we will have 2 short interventions. The first one will be by Mr. Bård Vegar Solhjell. He was the Norwegian Minister for Education from 2007 to 2009 and Minister of Environment from 2012 to 2013. He was also the Secretary General of the WWF Norway from 2018 to 2020. In January 2020, Mr. Solhjell was appointed Director General of the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, NORHED in short. NORHED is a directorate under the Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Their main purpose is to ensure that Norwegian development aid funds are spent in the best possible way. With me also in the panel is Dr. Margaret Hagen, who will have the second intervention this afternoon. Dr. Hagen is a professor in Italian literature, and she has been the head of research at the Department of Foreign Languages and led the Equality Committee at UIB. From 2013 to 2017, she was the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities. In 2017, Dr. Hagen was elected as Pro-Rector, a position she held from 2017 to 2021. In the spring of 2021, Dr. Margaret Hagen was elected rector of UIB and will have this position for the next 4 years. Between and after the short intervention, we will show the second and third video batches. We will end the program this afternoon with a short panel discussion between Mr. Solhjell and Dr. Hagen. And for the panel discussion, we will also be joined by the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, Dr. Barnabas Navangwe, and Professor at the University of Nairobi, Dr. Francis Mutua, who are with us on video links from Nairobi and from Rome. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon and for this kickoff meeting. So without further ado, let's watch the first video of project introductions.
A vast number of patients in low and middle income countries are deprived of treatment for conditions and injuries that can be cured or relieved by surgery. One important obstacle is the lack of educated staff. Over several decades, the University of Bergen and Haukeland University Hospital have supported educational programs to train doctors in their own country. Working with local institutions, we have supported various surgical disciplines in countries such as Ethiopia and Malawi. The benefit has been reciprocal, as our Norwegian surgeons also get exposure to conditions that are less frequent in Norway. We now plan to expand training in disciplines necessary for surgical service. Together with our partners in Malawi, we will support education of medical doctors and build academic capacity.
Even though there has been a substantial economic growth in Ethiopia, it remains among the 20 poorest countries in the world. The population is in a transition with declining fertility, increasing life expectancy, and heavy burdens of disease. In our project, the focus is on improving some of these major public health challenges. We shall work together with the Ministry of Health and focus on developing independent research groups. The project aims to develop and strengthen 3 PhD programs at 3 different universities in southern Ethiopia.
prize stands for Primary Healthcare Leaders Education. The aim of this project is to strengthen the primary healthcare systems in Malawi and Zambia. These two sub-Saharan neighboring countries have one of the lowest health coverages in the world. Most of their health facilities are manned by untrained personnel. The WHO emphasizes that the best approach for improving essential healthcare is to invest in integrated primary healthcare services. This is also the best way for ensuring the effective use of resources. Our general objective is to increase the quantity and quality of education and research programs within primary healthcare in Malawi and Zambia.
Our project is called Safe Workers. We are working with universities in Tanzania and Ethiopia to improve safety and health for workers. We will achieve this by helping to build competence in occupational health. We have looked at different workplaces in these countries. For instance, in coal mines, workers risk injuries due to rockfall and explosions. Workers in melteries risk severe burns. Workers in greenhouses in rose farms risk exposure to very toxic pesticides sprayed on the roses. Our project aims to limit these and other occupational hazards in the future.
On behalf of NORHED, it is a great pleasure to be part of the launch of the NORHED II program. Higher education and research is key to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. By shedding light on complex political, social, economic and cultural processes related to international development, research offers new knowledge, technology and innovative solutions. To address national and global challenges, we need both solution-oriented research as well as critical higher education and research. We need technical solutions and innovations, but actual change is only possible when critical voices that can challenge the existing paradigms and systems are there. Higher education also has to be inclusive. Although more young people are increasingly given access to higher education, there are still significant regional gaps. While the gross enrollment ratio for higher education in Europe and North America is 75%, it's on average 8% in sub-Saharan Africa. The gaps are increasingly significant when it comes to underrepresented groups such as women or persons with disabilities, ethnic minorities, and other marginalized groups. Inclusive higher education is also about diversity and equity in curricula and teaching, as well as inclusive university culture and governance. We need to enable global South researchers in knowledge production. According to UNESCO, OECD countries account for 70% of the world share of scientific publications, while sub-Saharan Africa accounts for 1.4%, which is also little compared to the population in the region. To solve the problems specific to the region, we need to enable South-based researchers and institutions to participate actively in knowledge production, as well as the development of research agendas and priority settings. This is vital to ensure understanding of the local context, enhance relevance and adaptation and uptake of knowledge production to local and national levels. Equitable partnerships allow for mutual learning and knowledge sharing. And the NORHED partnership model is researcher-initiated, where researchers from Norway and partner countries develop joint proposals. This enables partnerships based on mutual academic interests and ownership. The program further emphasizes South-South collaboration to facilitate regional capacity building and knowledge sharing. The University of Bergen has been and is an important partner for NORHED. There is a strong commitment and dedication by both individual researchers and the university at institutional level. And the University of Bergen is also a key institution in the NORHED program. NORHED has had a long tradition and commitment to support higher education and research for development since the 1960s. We believe that higher quality education institutions are key enablers of sustainable development in any country and contributes to strengthen democracy, gender equality, and human rights. The NORHED program is NORHED's flagship program for capacity development. The aim is to strengthen the capacity of higher education institutions in partner countries to produce higher quality education and research, as well as more inclusive higher education. To all participatory institutions and researchers, I wish you good luck with your endeavors.
CARTA stands for the Consortium for Advanced Research Training in Africa. As the name suggests, the primary goal of our project is to improve the quality of research training in African institutions. We want to achieve this through an enhanced PhD curriculum and by revitalizing supervision. The consortium consists of 9 African universities and several non-African partners. This project will prioritize 3 institutions in Uganda, Rwanda, and Malawi to build their capacity for research training. These 3 will then work with all the other partner universities to enable them to offer the improved training independently.
The NORHED II partnership focuses on health and nutrition, in particular nutritional status, including nutritional disorders and deficiencies. The aim is to understand preventive and treatment factors and have an impact on nutrition policies in Tanzania and the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. To achieve this, colleagues from 4 higher education institutions in DRC, Tanzania, South Africa, and Norway work together to train nutrition scholars and academic leaders from Tanzania and DRC. The project will establish and support postgraduate programs in nutritional epidemiology at master's and PhD levels. The project will also work with the ministries of health in the 2 countries to support locally relevant nutrition research.
Uganda is a country with several challenges in its education system. This is documented at various levels, from elementary school to higher education. To address this, the Ugandan cabinet has approved a new national teacher policy, outlining the new competency requirements of teacher educators. This is the field in which the Kabuti project operates. We will strengthen teacher education through program developments and scholarships at master's, PhD, and postdoc levels. We will also carry out relevant research. Our project enables 2 Norwegian and 3 Ugandan institutions to collaborate on meeting those challenges.
United Nations states that there is a need to harness science, technology, and innovation with a greater focus on sustainable development. To achieve this, the need for mathematical literacy becomes increasingly important. In 2015, the UN estimated that more than 500 million children in schools were not achieving wanted proficiencies in reading and mathematics. The problem being most profound in developing countries. Our project aims to increase the mathematical literacy in Tanzania and Uganda. We will assist in strengthening mathematical research at the partner universities, renew educational programs, and increase the visibility of the departments.
Dear everyone, this year the University of Bergen celebrates 75th anniversary. Throughout history, Bergen's location on the west coast of Norway has made it ideal to reaching and collaborating with the rest of the world. An international focus has therefore been an important part of this university from its very beginning. Our projects in the NORHED program continues a long tradition of global partnerships and international collaborations of the university. We have been active in all NORHED programs related to education and research throughout the years. Many of the projects have contributed to capacity building as well as science and education collaboration between equal partners. One example of a project that has led to more research and education collaboration started as a NOFU project called Essential Nutrition and Child Health in Uganda and lasted from 2001 to 2006 and was extended for 5 more years, 2007 and 2012. This project led to 3 EU-funded projects as well as several projects funded by the Research Council of Norway. Additionally, we had over 20 PhD students due to this project. This is an excellent example on how good partnerships funded by NORHED programs can lead to, and there are many, many more examples on this. From the Norwegian government side, there are 4 main objectives for international research collaboration. 1, to increase the quality of research and innovation. 2, to strengthen our competitiveness and contribute to transition processes in public and private sectors. 3, to contribute to solving important global challenges and contribute to reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. And 4, to contribute to developing our research and innovation policies and to establish new cooperation patterns across borders, sectors, and disciplines. Most of these are met by the project in the NORHED II program. And I'm very proud of our researchers and our international partners that together constitutes the 14th NORHED II projects. The University of Bergen appreciate the value of long-term global partnerships, and NORHED II gives us a unique possibility to continue these partnerships, as well as to create and develop new ones. I am also very proud that the 14 projects reflect our academic diversity. At the University of Bergen and our partner institutions, UIB is an all-comprehensive university, and at UIB we have 7 faculties, and 5 of those 7 faculties are represented within this project. That is medicine, social sciences, psychology, mathematics and natural sciences, fine art, music and design. As you will see in the presentations today, the projects show a variety of creative and bold ways of working with capacity building in higher education and research. The University of Bergen is grateful for the awards from NORHED. We are also humbled by the great task of managing 14 projects of a total of 290 million Norwegian crowns. I am very confident that our NORHED II team will do their very best to run the program as smooth as possible in the coming years. So dear project leaders and partners, I know it has been hard work getting there and getting where we are today and finally celebrating the beginning of our NORHED II projects. The pandemic has not made this process easier. It does, however, remind us about the importance of global partnership and collaboration. Global challenges demand global collaborative efforts, and higher education and research plays a crucial role in that. So thank you all for facing up those challenges.
NPOC, the Norway Pacific Ocean Climate Scholarship Program, is an ambitious partnership in research and PhD training between the University of Bergen and the Regional University of the South Pacific. The program comprises 24 fully funded PhD scholarships, for which students from 15 Pacific Island countries are eligible, in ocean and climate change research across a wide range of disciplines. The main objectives of NPOC are to build a strong Pacific cohort of researchers to address urgent challenges for ocean and climate, to build new multidisciplinary Pacific research on the ocean-climate nexus for regional and global policy impact, and to build enduring partnerships between researchers and universities in Norway and the Pacific Islands.
Our project focuses on the current flight of people away from South Sudan into the neighboring countries of Uganda, Ethiopia, and Sudan. We follow women and children from their homes into camps run by the UN and other agencies. But we also follow former elite people who move into towns where they have property. The research will help us understand more about the complexities of these adaptations, especially to see how refugees are neither a unified group nor passive receivers of aid, but individuals working to shape their everyday lives and futures. Such knowledge is important in order to help improve the way such a refugee crisis is handled by the agencies and states involved.
States used to be the driver of colonization. Today, it's multinational companies. Knowledge relevant to this globalization of economic power has been superior to knowledge about the environment, destruction of nature, and unequal development. With the coming of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, this knowledge hierarchy is about to change and needs to change. Those most affected by destructive global developments were the first to call for a decolonization of epistemologies in support of a new development model. The whole of Makerere Institute of Social Research, together with us in Bergen, will contribute to this epistemological shift.
Welcome to the Full-Scale Imaging Lab.
CO2 capture and subsequent storage in the subsurface is a key technology to curb climate gas emissions. CO2 storage can be combined with hydrocarbon recovery by injecting CO2 into existing oil or gas reservoirs, where the CO2 remains safely stored. Our project will support the development of this technique in Ecuador and Colombia, where fossil fuels are still needed to meet a growing energy demand and CO2 storage can help reduce emissions from fossil fuel production. To achieve these goals, we want to educate a new generation of energy engineers with the whole value chain for carbon capture, utilization, and storage integrated in their education.
Water is among the most pressing global challenges of our time. Water Essence Africa project looks at the uneven distribution of fresh water in 6 African countries. And the situation becomes even more challenging when we think of increasing populations, increasing urbanization, the unsustainable use of water, and the severe impact of climate change in Africa these days. Water Essence project will seek to enhance the capacities and the capabilities of the graduate water programs in participating universities. The project will also seek to build digital capacity and thereby promoting it also to the water industry and thus showcasing the synergetic role of water across a broad spectrum.
Now we have watched the introductions to all the NORHED II projects, which really show a wide variety and the geographical and thematic scopes of the projects. This really underlines the comprehensive global cooperation these projects represent. And also thank you to Dr. Hagen and Mr. Solhjell for your interventions. We will pick up on some of the aspects raised in your interventions during the panel discussion that we will soon move on to. But before we start the panel debate, let me introduce you to the other panelists. We were supposed to have Dr. Barnabas Navange, for the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, with us here this afternoon. But due to some technical issues with our link to Rome, he is not able to join us. But with us, we have Dr. Francis Mutua, who holds a PhD in hydrometeorology from the University of Nairobi, where he is now a professor at the Department of Earth and Climate Science. Dr. Mutua has vast experience in collaborating with UIB through several projects, amongst other, the Nile Basin Research Program, which ran from 2007 to 2011, and the project Water and Society Africa, which received funding from the first NORHED program. And he is now part of the Water Essence Africa project funded by NORHED II. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Mutua. And now let's move on to our little panel debate. And I'll start with you, Bård Vegar. Could you please take us through the concepts and thinking behind the NORHED II program? What are the results that you expect from the program as a whole? And how do you expect the projects funded by the program to contribute to these aims?
I'm happy to do that. Maybe if you first let me commend the University of Bergen. And I mean, after having watched all these 14 presentations, yes, it's quite impressive. First, I mean, the UIB is possibly the most, or at least one of the most global universities in Norway, and what we have noticed here is a very broad range of projects, like the rector said, from 5 faculties, I think you said, and also if you look at the substance, they are, I mean, clearly really different, and that's interesting and shows the breadth really of competence at the university. So, of course, our aim in NORAD and for the ministry is to be part of a strengthening of the capacities in developing countries to both educate people and to do more research. We, of course, can't do that alone, but we're part of a wider effort. think a developed nation like Norway, we know how instrumental education was at every level in our endeavor to become a developed nation, right? Of course, basic education, primary education, but also higher education and the development of knowledge and knowledge institutions. So we consider that essential. And to the last part of your question, the idea is now to both to make sure that the institutions we are partnering with are also part of that kind of work in the region. That's why South-South cooperations have become an important part of the NORHED program phase 2, and also why we have as we have seen here, there are lots of cooperations where many institutions in the global South are represented in the same cooperation. It's also been important for us to give more flexibility to the institutions involved, so they can actually develop more of its cooperation, and that I think that's one of the things that will also leave more traces, both within institutions in the north, like University of Bergen, but also hopefully in partnering institutions in the global south.
Yes, thank you. And just to pick up on the first thing you said, because Margaret, UIB has historically been involved in NORHED funded projects. And what do you think is the reason for why we are so much involved in capacity building and in global partnerships? And as was said, we are probably the most global university in Norway. What are the reasons for those?
I must say that I feel very proud today, being the rector of this wonderful global university. And to answer your question, I think it's crucial that UIB was very, very early in working strategically with internationalization and global partnerships. So this is not something that we started 10 years ago or not even 20 years ago. UIB has a long, long history in international collaboration, also with the global South. So, today's representations also bear witness of a long-term effects of this early engagement from the University of Bergen. And I also think that our researchers, they have also a genuine interest in building international collaboration, international research and education collaboration. So simply because the challenges we are facing, they are global. And also working with partners, these long-term partnerships that we have built, not just in Europe, but also in Asia, Africa, South America, Latin America. They are crucial in building both relevance and quality of research. It provides a broader context and also a broader and more solid knowledge base of our research. And these collaborations, they are also quite solid, some of them, because they have been, they are also inherited from one professor to another. They are very solid and in our research environments. And many of the research areas that we are facing, that we are focusing on, makes also global partnerships as NORHED a natural part of the research development. So we're talking here about very mutual interest and also very genuine research interest.
Yeah. And thank you. And this is something that we can turn to Nairobi and Dr. Mutua. Welcome. Good to see you. we can hear here that these are partnerships that have been developing for years, and that we are really close allies, and that we have common research interests. So with your many years of experience with similar partnerships and capacity building projects, what is your main advice for the new NORHED II projects, and on how to build strong and lasting partnerships?
Thank you very much. And let me, right at the beginning, say congratulations to University of Bergen. Getting so many global projects is not an easy thing. It's not an easy achievement. This is a phenomenal achievement. Secondly, I feel glad that I am part of this because I have been associated with the University of Bergen for quite some time, close to about 10 to 15 years. So I have a lot of pride to see that the university that I love so much is contributing so significantly into the developments in the world. All these projects that I see touch on life, touch on issues of life, all the way from the science of mathematics, health, water, all of them are very key. And one thing that I want to stress as we go forward with the NORHED II is all partnerships are based on trust. And confidence building is a very key thing in making any project succeed. And I must quickly say that NORHED I, and particularly in the project that I worked on, they had side training programs to build confidence within the institutions that are partners or that were partnering in this. And I personally found that very important because it is very easy for projects to be at the pedestal, to sit at the top, and the results are not filtering adequately to those who actually need to be to benefit from these projects. And I must again quickly say that the component of capacity building, which again I said is hinged on confidence, that when we are training the South, this training benefits not only the South, but also benefits the North, because we are all interconnected. So the first thing I would do is let's continue with building trust between partners, that the benefit coming out of this are not necessarily benefits for the South. They will benefit what comes out of the project, the medical project or water project in the South is going to benefit the North directly or indirectly. And saying this, I want to say NORHED II should, and I'm sure they have taken this into consideration, the aspect of sustainability. It is not just good to have a beautiful project now, and when the project ends, that what has been produced just goes to waste. I hope this is what we call the white elephants. It is not good to create white elephants. And therefore, it is very important and key to make sure that there is some element of sustainability. This is achieved, and I'm very happy to see that all projects have a capacity building in terms of masters and PhD. But what I am interested in is to see the projects achieve the high level research and production of PhDs at the top there, so that we all can be pointing at NORHED II and say, NORHED II produced somebody who eventually got a Nobel Prize, if not something equivalent. What a pride I would have when I see that. And these projects, when I add and I listened through them, they have that capability because they are touching on very fertile ground. They can be able to produce Nobel Prizes. And this is what I'm looking for. And this is what I am sure NORHED can be able to produce with all of us together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Matura. That is very wise words. And I totally agree with you. Trust, confidence, mutual cooperation is key elements. And also the SDGs to do this, build this sustainable development into all the projects is our key elements. And of course, as been mentioned here, the whole purpose of these programs are to build the capacity and to reach a level where we can actually together apply for EU research funding and so on. So that is a very nice points you point out there. Now on to you again, Bodega. Considering the Agenda 2030 and the global challenges that we are facing, in what direction do you think the NORHED programs related to education and research will develop in the years to come?
Well, it's a big question, but let me say a few words also building on what Mr. Mutua just said. First, we've just launched the phase 2 of the program. The programs are setting sail right now. So now I will call the phase we're in now, it's like an implementation phase. And for us in NORAD, it will be really important to follow up with the institutions to actually see how are things doing. We have an opportunity to do changes and tweaks underway, but letting the projects work is the most important thing in this phase. Then if we take a longer look towards 2030, I would say that that maybe two things are particularly important for us. First, to look at how we can develop an even better strategic cooperation with the main institutions involved in Norway and the North, but also in the global South. How can we use programs and cooperations that have been built to look at further institution building, to look at maybe establishing even stronger links where really strong quality institutions in the global South can reach out to those who are not at the same level in the region, and to build them, and also to understand even better the needs of institutions that we are working with, like Mr. Mutua touched upon. Maybe just one last aspect, and that is, I told you that it was important for us to give somewhat more flexibility to the institutions, but flexibility and responsibilities are, in a way, there are two sides of the same coin, right? So of course, we also, we know that processes involving NORAD and development cooperation can be somewhat rigid. It's money that are, it's funds that from the taxpayers in Norway, and there are strict regulations and so on. But it's also important for us to develop a cooperation with you where you can feel a strong sense of responsibility and direction, that you can actually see, well, we think we should develop in this way, where we can meet with the institution and look what's best practice for the grant management here, which institutions have been able to do something that others should learn from, and so on, and where you have some flexibility to develop as you go in the project period. So that's another thing, touching upon the SDGs, that we can learn and develop as we go in the period is also one thing I think is really crucial.
Thank you. And that flexibility is something that we always see in research projects. It also applies to the EU-funded projects, where they are maybe very rigid, but as you go along, you can tweak it, or you can change direction. And probably you can do that also during this program period. But of course, we need to kind of be look to what we have been funded for doing, and then maybe we can tweak it.
Yeah, because we will measure results, and it's important for us that we can, at the end of the period, say that we have been able to reach some main goals. But it's a complex world. Things happen, so it's also important to be able to adjust according to that.
So, having heard all this, Margaret, from Nairobi and from here, the kind of the expectations and the goals that we need to meet. What are your expectations to the projects that we have are been launching right now, and what the results will be?
I think that all of us, we are really impressed by the breadth and the variety of these projects that we have seen presented also in the film now. And there are many, of course, different goals. And I hope one of my expectations is, of course, that this is solid research, solid capacity building, and also solid partnerships. And as you addressed, build on trust, and trust is something that you have to build. Also, sometimes it also takes some time. So I'm really eager to follow this project then in this program period, and I also hope that these partnerships and groundwork that is done here will lead to larger projects, larger collaborations, and for more and also lasting partnerships in the future. And that there are also, as you stated, several opportunities also to look to EU, to the European Framework Program, and see whether it's something that we can do together within Horizon Europe. And also, of course, look to the Norwegian Research Council for other research opportunities and projects there. So I hope that these NORHED projects are seen as an opportunity for long-lasting partnerships between our institutions, and that they will surely not end after with the project period.
Yeah.
So.
I think we very much agree around the table here.
Yes.
On what should be the main goals here to build these lasting partnerships. But Dr. Mutua, you have been involved in these projects for quite a while, and you have a lot of experience, and you can see the challenges and the possibilities that these projects face throughout the program period. What advice would you give us as the UIB support system here in order for both UIB and NORHED on how to best help the projects meet these challenges?
Yes, thank you. Let me very quickly say that I trust UIB can be able to do this because they have demonstrated it in the past, and I have no reason in my mind that they can be able to do it during this time here. I also at the same time want to say thank you to NORHED. NORHED has been, very impartial and very patient in terms of guiding the projects, because we are not angels. There are occasions we fail and so on. But I have been impressed with NORHED. They don't shout. Even when they shout in a very philosophical way, so that you are left asking why. And if we could extend that philosophy in UIB, the experience that we have had and the willingness to do this, and NORHED, the willingness to guide. It's not easy to guide. It's one thing to implement, but it's another thing altogether to guide. And I would want to see that, willingness to guide so that we all, because it is ours at the end of the day, we all achieve what we want, and perhaps much better than what we even had planned for. But one thing I want to very quickly point out in my experience is that for projects to run smoothly, it takes a while to gain the momentum in the projects, for everybody to come on board, because there is that warming period. And the longer that period is, the more strained the project becomes at the end. And UIB, my advice to UIB is to, right from the beginning, arrange meetings with the top management of the partner institutions for awareness creation and for creating partnerships right from the top, not the coordinators, not the professor who is coordinating these at country level, but with the top management of universities. It is very crucial for a university, when we say, for example, University of Nairobi is involved in this project. It is just not the department or the coordinator, but it is the university and the nation at large. And my experience with the previous ones was that the involvement of the vice chancellor, the involvement of the rectors, the involvement with the deputy vice chancellors, right from the beginning, really made a lot of difference in the speed at which we moved into this. Understanding that the turnover of administrators in the South is very high. You can have a vice chancellor in 1 or 2 years, and there is another new vice chancellor. And this continuous visitation into this helps to create continuity and a smooth movement and implementation of the projects that we have. Notwithstanding, of course, the COVID issues, which have brought in quite a lot of restrictions. This phase is going, it requires a lot of innovative thinking into it. But I'm seeing involvement with the top management of the universities being key in achieving the high level of outputs that we are looking for. Involving them in the annual meetings so that they know and they assist the departments and they assist the coordinators without putting unnecessary blockages into this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I've noted down that's a very good piece of advice here, and we will definitely follow that advice. I think it's crucial also to have the top management at the university involved when we go to visit the partner universities, but also in kind of when we set sail now at the very beginning. So thank you for that advice. Now we have been given advice as UIB, but now I want to open the floor here for kind of one message to the project and the project leaders and the partners that are watching this. Start with NORHED, with you, Bo. What would be your main message to these projects?
You know, I would say to participants and others that are listening in now that, I mean, think about your work as part of, you know, of a global agenda, something much bigger than we are doing ourselves. It's part of the Agenda 2030, the SDGs, but also part of, I mean, individual countries, regions, institutions, effort to eliminate poverty, to change institutions, to develop, and success is part of that bigger work, basically. I like to think about my work that way, that it's one little piece of a huge global effort. And also good luck.
Yes. Well, turn to Mutua, what would be your main message to your fellow projects in NORHED?
Let me see. Yes, one of the key issues that I would really want all of us in these projects is to understand that we, although doing different things, are a team that will be measured by the outputs that we produce. And therefore, in the achievement, let's target the best. It will not suffice just to put on record that we produced 5 PhDs. My fellow members and team leaders and professors who are involved in the different projects, let us show a little bit of commitment in the production of top-notch research. The world is looking forward to cooperations and partnerships that produce research that is going to take the world to the next level. And let's take this opportunity. We have been given by MFA an opportunity to show who we are. We are professors. We are able to do research. Let's do research. Let's produce researchers. Africa happens to give a very good environment for research because there are so many things that have not been done. But the North has the knowledge, and let's use that opportunity. It's a rare opportunity that we have been given to collaborate and produce top-notch research that is required in the world. It requires a lot of commitment. Let's all be committed in what we do. It's just not a project. It is an opportunity that we have to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll let Margaret have the last word in the panel. What will your message be?
I think we have been living through a pandemic, and there are many lessons to pick up from what we have been living in and through. One of them is that we can't achieve anything alone, that the knowledge is global, and if we want to solve the big challenges, we have to work together. And that you were talking about the global agenda, and I think that, of course, I completely agree with both of you. The global agenda is to build knowledge, and this is part of it, and an important part of it. And I just want to say thank you to all of our partners in this endeavor. And I am so much looking forward to meet you all, and I hope that maybe I can start traveling. I haven't been traveling for 1.5 years, so I'm looking forward to do some traveling. And yes, the best of luck from all of my heart.
Traveling to Bergen was a good start.
Well, thank you. I think we have heard what global partnerships can and have led to, and what we can expect from the projects that we are starting now. I want to thank all the projects and partners for contributing with the videos. We have seen, as well as to all the hard work done in order to start the projects. I also want to thank our panelists, both the ones calling in and the ones here in the studio with me. And finally, I want to wish all the projects all the best, and we are looking forward to the cooperation in the years to come. Thank you, and have a nice afternoon.